Hi, Dyslexic Genius here. I'm working on an early Vic M, and it has from a customer, and it has a few issues. The issue we have is we have the top of the motor board, and then under here is the chassis. And we have 4 holes that the screws hold the complete motor in place in, like right here. In its life, it's been dropped, and it broke out this hole, it grenaded this one, and just chipped out this one, and we only have a good one. And this stuff is paper thin. Also, this hole here is for the speed control. From that comes down on the motor. Somebody ground this out.
Now, who would grind that out?
The factory or somebody ground this out to clear the speed control. But this piece here is very, very thin. And without fixing it right, you're not going to be able to balance the turntable because you're going to screw on these to balance the turntable. Now, if I was Uncle Bubba, I would probably just say, okay, I can put a big washer here, and this will work, but it won't. Because a washer, if you have a washer here, and this piece here is broken, it's broken all the way over to here. We're looking over 1.5 inches, this is cracked out. It's not going to work. It's still going to torque. So every time you crank the motor, all this stuff is going to bend. So
and eventually it's going to just
break again. And
okay.
The washer won't work. So what I did was I created a ring on my lathe and my mill like this. And I made this a little bit bigger than this inside piece here because when I screw it down, I want to be hitting solid wood and not in here. If we made a ring and put it on the inside, this will lower the motor board. Now we have a problem with the turntable probably rubbing on the top of the motor board. So what I did is I created this ring just like that. Now what we will do is I will come in and drill and then pull it back out and cut off these wood screws to hold everything in place. So when this bolts down, it's going to press onto the thicker wood and not the thin stuff.
Then how will you mount the motor then?
Then I will mount the motor just like a Victor, but I'm going to change screws. So now what we do is we're gaining elevation by putting this ring in and putting screws in. And this is a regular motor screw, and this is a button head stainless steel. And you can see the difference. This button head stainless steel is a lower profile. And this will work just as well because it's under the turntable. And this is the right way to fix this so it's back in condition. All I have left now is to line up all these holes, drill those out on my ring, and bolt everything in. But also what you want to do is use the French scraper. You see I've scraped a little here because I'm looking for problems. But Victor, like Edison, used this like liquid rubber stuff. So I was hunting around and I found these little rubber washers, which are fabulous because they just fit over the screw like that. And now what I can do to balance everything out is this is the motor and it's going to mount underneath. And you're only going to have one little rubber here, but I'm going to put a rubber like this washer in between each one of these screws so the motor is sitting perfectly in there. All right, and it's separated a little. And this will work perfect. I'll show you when I'm done.
Okay, well why couldn't you just cut out wood and glue wood pieces in there?
You could cut out wood and splice this in, but it's not going to hold for the pressure of the motor. You have a motor here, it probably weighs, 5-6 pounds. This is a 2-spring Victor. Yeah, it's probably a 7 or 8 pound motor. And now you start cranking on this, and this whole thing starts twisting, and it'll break down the road.
How did you make the ring?
The ring, I had to lay everything out with this .055 sheet metal I use, like this. You can see all my scratch marks. Then I took my faceplate on the lathe which is really not a chuck. It's just a big piece of cast iron that you can bolt things to. I took some white oak, machined it down to fit, bolted it in. Then I drilled all these holes out for everything on the milling machine, so I got everything perfectly drilled. And then I centered it in with my center, screwed it in place, and then I machined it out. And all this work to get to this ring is about 8 hours. You have the design part, how to fix it so it doesn't happen to anybody else again down the road. And this is a lot of fun, and that's my tip for the day.